TheFlickcast, the podcast about movies, TV, pop culture, and pretty much anything else. I am Chris Ulrich with Joe Dilworth. As always, Joe, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I don't even know what time of day it is. Hi.
Good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
That's right.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter because time is irrelevant at this point, right?
What is day? What is time? What is...
I don't know.
What is existence, Chris? What is it really?
It's a flat circle. I think that's what time was, right?
Oh, that's... Well,
Didn't they establish that in the first season of True Detective? Time is a flat circle?
I think you're right.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We were having this nice banter repartee before the show.
Yes.
And now that we've started the podcast, I'm like, now what do I say? I feel stupid. And so
I know. I think we already did the show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, people who are listening, who go to the Patreon and become patrons can get the very important pre-show crap that was very important. So
they'll actually know what we're talking about right now because they'll get all the stuff that was actually the show before we did the show.
Right. The show
after the show is done. Wait, what? I don't know.
The pre-show and the post-show and the bonus episodes. So that's.
But just go to Patreon and support us, please. Thank you. Bye.
Patreon.com/TheFlickcast. Okay, that's the only plug for Patreon right now.
Perfect. Okay.
Anyway, so recently, and I don't know how recent it's going to be when this show actually airs, drops, or comes out, whatever the kids are calling it these days. But
what is time? What is time?
They did some reshuffling in the Marvel fourth phase universe, and also there was a new trailer for WandaVision, which is an interesting show that I'm looking forward to, and I know you are too.
Oh yeah, and a new announcement too.
Oh, and a new announcement. That's right. Which again will not be new by the time this comes out, but it's new. It's new right now. Well, it's worth talking about. But the idea is that sometimes these announcements come out, but it has an effect on the entire Phase 4 of Marvel coming into the theaters and TV shows and whatever near you. And so it actually is going to be relevant months from now, which is good.
Right. So, I'd say us talking about it a few weeks later is better than us saying, hey, here's 2,300 things you missed in the WandaVision trailer.
That's right.
So
the
WandaVision trailer explained.
Explained. That's right. The ending explained. It seems like there's a proliferation, that's what I'm trying to say, of those kind of videos. And it just, I don't know. I guess people just are bored for content, or they don't have a lot of things to talk about. Like I watched a couple of different YouTubes about YouTubes. That's a word. Okay, sure. A couple of different YouTube guys and channels. That's what I'm trying to say. Channels.
Or heard of YouTubes.
I heard of YouTubes. Yes. And they, a lot of them are talking about how they're really thrilled to get something to talk about that's new, which is of course, the WandaVision trailer. And I can't blame them because it must be hard to try to come up with content like every day without anything really coming out.
No, I agree. I think it's, especially, I guess, in the Geekiverse or Nerdiverse or whatever you want to call it, in our sphere of realm of influence kind of thing, because, there's a lot of things on the way, and thankfully we're getting a few things that were done before all this, but yeah, it is nice to have something new.
It's hard out there
to talk about
for a geek.
It is,
or a nerd, or again, if you have to make content on a daily basis talking about things that haven't come out yet. How many times
starting to feel like the 80s again, where there wasn't much going on? But
well, how can you analyze, like you said, how can you analyze something? It's like, well, we're going to do a first reaction, then we're going to do a deep dive, and then we'll do a deep dive on our deep dive, and then we'll do things you've missed, and the things you've missed, and then here's 5 more things you missed, and here's the 10 things you missed in the thing we did that you missed it.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, you know what? I shouldn't talk like that about other people trying to do content because it's hard, and it's hard to make content. We make this podcast, and I know we make it sound easy, but it is not easy.
I don't understand the ending explained, because I watched the movie, but then why would I want to go and spend 6 hours, 3 times the length of the entire movie that I just watched, to go have a bunch of other people tell me what I just watched? I don't understand. I just don't understand that.
I think what that's for is like what we're doing with the show is that people want to sit around and talk about stuff and shoot the shit after they see something. So that's kind of the way, we're doing it here. We'll talk about something after we watched it. So I think people are missing that, especially now. Okay. And so they're trying to fill that, I don't know, hole, void, whatever. And so, 6 hours seems extreme though, but that's fine. Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about stuff. So that's why we sit here and talk about stuff.
Well, that I'm okay with, but having to explain, like, we'll explain the last 2 minutes of this TV series finale for you for 45 or more minutes. It's like, I watched it. I know what happened. I guess maybe because I've never actually read those articles, maybe they are a discussion of what happened instead of, well, yes, that guy pulled that sword and stabbed that other guy. Thank you.
There has to be more than that,
okay.
you'd think. But, well, was the top spinning at the end of Inception or not? That's the whole thing. That's the ending explained. Yes,
it was still.
Or no, it wasn't.
It was still spinning when it went to black.
But he was wearing his wedding ring, so anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway,
I could explain the ending of Inception to you, but we don't have that kind of time.
I think we can have discussions about stuff and do deep dives without sounding condescending. And I guess maybe to me that sounds condescending. It's like, I watched the ending. If you want to have a discussion about the whole movie, let's do that. But I saw that end, so I don't know that I needed it explained. Maybe I didn't watch it. Maybe I was making nachos instead of watching it, so I could see the value in that. But anyway, I'm a grumpy old geek.
Can I get nachos now? That sounds good.
We should talk about nachos. We could totally do that.
I mean, do you have a good nacho recipe? Do you use the microwave or the oven?
We use the oven because I like to maintain the chip crispness.
See, now you're a nacho purist. All right, so we can continue then. We don't have to end the show right here.
You're not going to fire me or anything. That's good.
I don't think I could, even if I wanted to.
You couldn't shut me up if you wanted to.
I couldn't. Anyway. I could just not record you anymore. I'm going to turn you off now. No.
That's true.
Anywho, so let's just go back to WandaVision. That's probably a safe bet.
Sure.
So the trailer came out, a lot of interesting things in it. I particularly like the fact that it seems to be bringing the idea of, how do I put this, like black magic maybe, and like weirder sort of, which makes sense because that's what I think that the new Doctor Strange is going to be eventually. It's supposed to be more about the macabre or even, dare I say it, like horror-esque or whatever. I mean, one of the theories that I saw was that it's Mephisto as the main bad guy, and so yeah, so they're going to do more maybe in the Mouth of Madness, or not the Mouth of Madness. That's a different movie. What was it? What's Doctor Strange? Multiverse of Madness.
In the Madness of the Multiverse. Yes.
I always thought of Mouth of Madness, but that was a totally different movie. Was that a John Carpenter movie?
It was.
I think it was. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry, that was Sam Neill. Okay. Anyway. Sutter Kane. Yeah, I remember it now. It all comes back to me eventually, folks. It just takes a second. Longer than it used to. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I think. I think it's going to be, my theory, if I have a theory, is that it's Wanda has created this whole, I don't know what you want to call it, like a separate sort of universe or a separate sort of world where Vision still exists.
Yes.
And so, or she brings him back. But I wonder if she's being used somehow by Mephisto or by, the other part of the theory that I saw was that she's going to end up being one of the villains in the Doctor Strange movie too, which is interesting because she's being corrupted. And of course, as you know from the comics, she's the one who does like this whole weird thing and ends up destroying all the mutants and then bringing them back. So also I saw that she might be the one who brings mutants into the MCU. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be a great way to bring them in. I mean, her powers have been in the comics over the last, I don't know, however many years that the character's been around, since the 60s. Her powers have they were loosely defined for the longest amount of time, and then they finally settled on the fact that she has kind of this hex power that can warp reality, and involves chaos magic. So, still kind of ambiguously defined, but I can see that completely playing into the show because, she's so grief-stricken and, so desperately wants Vision back that she, really uses her powers. And we saw they were, powerful enough to stand up to Thanos. So she uses her powers and probably fractures the multiverse or something like that. I don't know, but it looks...
Well, it's also interesting that you see a bunch of guys sort of outside of the universe. Because I can't remember, it's, I'm going to forget the character's name, but Rambeau, the woman's daughter that was in Captain Marvel, anyway, is the agent or whatever that comes flying out of the whatever you want to call it, the pocket universe or whatever.
Sure.
And she lands on the ground. But my question is, that's not S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe it's S.W.O.R.D. because there's also a thing about how Nick Fury at the end of Captain Marvel, I believe, is on the spaceship wearing my damn shoes. that's also a sword facility. So I feel like Sword is gonna play more of a prominent role in the WandaVision show too.
That's entirely possible. I mean, there's a couple different storylines that seemed to be pulled from the comics for this. So no, I think it looks really great. I gotta say though, my favorite frame from the trailer was seeing Paul Bettany as Vision, even though it's supposed to be, I guess, kind of a Halloween thing, but he was dressed in the Vision from the comics uniform, outfit, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, that was really
that was
cool.
pretty funny. It was supposed to be, it was a joke. And she's wearing her Wanda costume from the comics too.
Yes,
for Halloween.
So there has to be, though, I mean, it can't be just, it may actually be bringing him back. It can't just be fracturing the multiverse or artificially manufacturing, because at points when she becomes aware in the trailer that something's not right or reality is weird, he too becomes aware of it. So I wonder if she's somehow found his sentience or something. I don't know. But.
Well, maybe he's just a figment of her imagination then, because he's aware of what she's aware of. Or it's not any of those things, and it's just some kind of plot to tap into her power by other forces, and so they use Vision to. Well, think of it this way though: who's besides Tony Stark? Who's like the greatest scientist and Banner, I guess? Who's the other greatest scientist besides those two guys who could also help Vision come back and was already trying to help him before? I mean, that's
Shuri.
Yeah. So my other question was, could it be a situation where Wanda has a mental breakdown because of Vision's death and creates this whole universe, and then Vision gets resurrected by Shuri, and he's able to infiltrate the reality to try to bring Wanda out?
Oh, that could be. I'd be all for that too. If it results in him being back, I'm okay with it.
Well, it's comics, so people can come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's already discussions that Tony Stark, but Malcolm McDowell. What was I saying?
Yes, Malcolm McDowell will come back as Tony Stark.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to cameo as Tony Stark in the Madness of the Multiverse Doctor Strange sequel. So.
Well, it could be. He's only died recently. It could be a flashback. I mean, it's also in the multiverse. Anything's possible, right? It's a multiverse.
That's right.
There's multiple verses of some sort.
Yes, and there's also the rumor that Tom Cruise is going to play Tony Stark from an alternate universe as well.
That would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd see that.
I think it would be fun to have Tom Cruise in the Marvel universe movies.
I'm surprised he hasn't been. Although he doesn't really need the job or anything, so he's going to space. So what does he care?
Right, he's
honestly, that kind of sounds like what the CW did with the '90s Justice League crossovers.
Oh yeah.
Was Tom Cruise in the '90s Justice League crossovers?
No,
I know
Tom Cruise was a big front runner throughout the '90s to play Iron Man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why he's doing it now. If he does, that would be interesting though, because again, it's possible. Well, that's the reason they're also doing. I mean, I guess DC's doing the same thing with their multiverse or whatever, because they have apparently
multiple
Batman again. Yeah, so all bets are off when it's a multiverse. But yeah, I would like to. I just want new content. I want Mando to start again. I mean, I know there's problems going on in the world, obviously, and I don't want to be a total dick about it. I would like to see some new stuff, and I'd like to see Mando, and I'd like to see WandaVision come out. And honestly, the fact that they push Black Widow again is sort of disappointing. I kind of feel like they should release it on demand, although they spent a shit ton of money on it, so I don't think they're going to get their money back if they do that, because Mulan didn't do very well, so they're probably even more scared now.
And maybe that's what they were kind of waiting to see, and then they're like, we'll need to push this back and try in the theaters to maximize our return on this. But yeah, that's going to make 2020 the first year in I don't know how long that there has been no Marvel Universe movie. So
well, I mean, WandaVision's going to come out at the end of this year, right? So.
Yeah, but it's a TV show. It's not a movie. So.
Well, what's the difference?
No theatrical release. Well, yes, and that's a good segue because you did mention Nick Fury and Sword, and as it happens, not too long before we recorded this, it was announced that Sam Jackson is coming back as Nick Fury in a Disney Plus series. So his first foray into TV.
You call him cool. Sam Jackson?
I did, because we're like that. He calls me Joe. I call him Sam,
Samuel L. Jackson. Come on.
Yes. Okay, fine.
That's Mr. Jackson if you're, I don't know.
Or Sir. Yeah.
Listen, I'm the first one to say that I think that Samuel L. Jackson was an inspired choice for Nick Fury, and I think he's great. And I think that any show with Nick Fury is good. I've always wanted a Nick Fury show, and I've been saying that for a long time. I know, but here's my only question about Nick Fury or Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury. Samuel Jackson is like 70 years old, right?
Sure.
And yes, you can de-age him in the movie as you do, and effectively, but at some point he can't necessarily do all the action stuff, because I feel like Nick Fury really needs to do more action stuff. And so I guess you could just, with modern technology, you can just put his face on a younger person's stunt person's body, right?
Well, or CG not, like dead. I mean, he can.
Well, I know, but look
stuff.
How he's limping around, and I mean that's because he can't. He's no offense to the man, I love him, but he's getting up there, and so he's like not in top physical condition, and it's hard, man. He can
Murtaugh his way through it. I think it'll be.
He can Murtaugh. Yeah, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah,
Sure. Well, I guess it's possible. You're right. He could let the younger people.
Don't hate on it before it's even made, man. Come on.
I'm not. No, I'm totally into it. I've been saying for years that I would like to see a Nick Fury movie, and Nick Fury
we had
TV
one.
Show is fine.
There was a TV movie.
Yes, we did, and let's never talk about that.
This one stands a chance to be better, I think. But
I think it stands a chance. Well, you're comparing yourself to the Hoff. I don't know.
Well, tough. True. I mean, it's
he is the Hoff.
Yeah, right. I mean, no mortal man can stand up to the genius and musicality and the
raw sexuality. I think is what you're saying.
Of the Hoff. Yes. Yeah, no, I don't know what I'm trying. I'm trying to make a joke and it's not working.
It's not landing. I'm sorry to tell you.
No.
If the Hoff were here, he could tell a joke and it would be funny.
Oh yeah, he could
I feel like the Hoff occupies that rarefied air like Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris is always cool, and the Hoff is always cool, even though he's like a caricature of himself. But he knows that, and that's why he embraces it, and it's so good. Which is why he shouldn't have played Nick Fury in that TV movie with his wife.
No,
I mean, they're great. He's great at a lot of things. He's the Hoff, but he should not have been Nick Fury. So,
no.
Samuel Jackson will be an excellent Nick Fury, as he has been all this time, and he will be again. And I think it'll be a great show. I'm totally into it, and I would like it to come out tomorrow too, but it won't, sadly.
And we also got the announcement of who's going to play She-Hulk on the She-Hulk TV series that's coming to Disney+.
I totally forgot about that.
So, yes. I mean, what do you think?
Tatiana Maslany.
Yes, she was great in Orphan Black. I mean, it's kind of a joke to say that she carried that show, because she kind of did, because she played multiple characters on that show that were all clones. So
she was also really good in the Perry Mason show on HBO too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think she'll do really well as She-Hulk. I think it's funny that people are like, I can't believe they're going to gender flip the Hulk. Well, that character, She-Hulk, has been around since 1980. So
they're gender flipping the Hulk? Is that what people
Yeah, they're like, oh, they got it's all
Jesus,
woke.
People,
and blah, blah.
pay attention.
Yeah, it's like, that's a pre-existing character. It's been around for,
They're still mad about Starbuck being a girl, I think.
I think so, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh, Starbuck is a girl? Sure, why not? I thought that, obviously, as we know, or as maybe everybody doesn't know this, but I love the reincarnation of Battlestar Galactica, and I thought everyone was great in it. And so
we're getting another one of those on the Peacock Network, apparently
so, yeah.
We'll see. See if it ever gets made.
But. Which is fine. I didn't want Bryan Singer to make a Battlestar Galactica, because fuck that guy.
No, he can go right to hell.
He can, and he probably will if you believe in that kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm also
a lot of Marvel TV stuff. I kind of feel that.
Sorry, did we get off on a tangent for a second?
Yeah, we did. I kind of feel like that Marvel is shifting their kind of focus to the TV series on Disney Plus now that they kind of have an open outlet to do whatever the hell they want. Not to say they didn't have that with the movies, but I mean, you're getting to 3 Marvel movies as we were at one point per year is a bit much.
Well, you got to think that the TV stuff is cheaper, right? For one,
you would think, but I mean, if they're going to do She-Hulk, they still have to do the CGI for the Hulk aspect of the character. So that can't. Well, because
she's basically as the Hulk most of the time, right? So
yeah, that can't be cheap. I mean, it's going to basically be like because She-Hulk actually retained her intelligence when she became the Hulk, so it'll be sort of like Smart Hulk
right.
from Endgame.
She's like Smart Hulk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But my real question about She-Hulk too, not that won't be a great show on its own, But what I hope is that they bring back Matt Murdock and they bring back Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because they interact in the same universe because they actually work together occasionally.
Yeah,
So
I mean she's a lawyer and he's a lawyer, so
well,
that would be great.
But they've appeared in the comics together. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I would love
yeah.
to see that. I think the fact that he did a great job as Daredevil. I thought that was the best sort of Marvel flagship, and the first season of Jessica Jones, which is also a great season. If you've never seen that, by the way, it's definitely worth watching. Although, if you're listening to this show, you probably have seen it. But
yeah,
I thought that Charlie Cox did a great job. I would love to see him get to do more, and I'm sure he would be up for it too, because why not?
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, paycheck's a paycheck, but I think he actually enjoyed the role. Yes. And
cynical bastard.
I would say I would be really sad if we see no more, especially of Daredevil, but also a lot of the characters from the Netflix Marvel shows, because they just, I don't know, they nailed them. It was just really, really good. I mean, Luke Cage was amazing,
but no more Iron Fist. No more
Iron Fist. You know what? I actually thought though that Iron Fist worked the best in the Defenders miniseries. So,
he's propped up by everybody else.
If he's not headlining, I would be okay with him showing up.
How did they miss the mark so much on that particular guy, though? You would think.
I guess they can't get them all right. I don't know. But,
I guess that's right. Everybody else was really good. Mike Coulter was great as
Luke Cage,
Cage, and of course Kristen Ritter was great as Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Charlie Cox, awesome. Everybody was good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it was disappointing, but whatever. What are you gonna do, right? You're right. You're right, though. I think you can't get everything right, and I think they knew they had a problem.
I mean, his second season was truncated. It wasn't 13 episodes like everything else. So, they obviously knew they needed to fix it, but maybe they were committed to the second season. And listen, I mean, really, if that's going to be their only kind of stumble, I think that's not a bad track record. So, I mean,
but my question about that show is, since the beginning, is why would you have a show about the world's greatest martial artist who is not good at martial arts in the show? Why were the fight scenes so shit? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'll never understand about that show. You go into it, yes, the interplay between the characters is important, but this guy kicks ass, and he was not kicking ass at all, and so.
And he did so in the comics, and does so in the comics.
Yeah, he does.
So,
and
yes.
I got into it because Fraction wrote it, and I was like, oh, this is a good comic, and I was hoping that the show would be good, but it was not. It's Matt Fraction, in case people don't know who I'm talking about.
Right. No, it was. It was not. But everything else Netflix did was on track, and like I said, though, it seems like, especially Disney Plus, they're really stacking up the Marvel shows. I mean, there's still a Hawkeye series. There's still Moon Knight. So
Moon Knight, because everyone wants a Moon Knight show. Sorry, that's terrible.
I would if they can do it just like the comic, because the comic is awesome, and I like the character, and I like his fractured personalities and his kind of tenuous relationship with reality from time to time. I think it's kind of cool.
Kind of like you and I.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have no relationship with reality, let's be honest. I mean,
that's a good point. Falcon and Winter Soldier, of course, too.
Oh, yeah, of course. How can we forget that?
Don't want to forget that.
Loki.
Loki, which both of those got pushed back, too. So we'll get, apparently now we're going to get, unless it changes again, we're going to get WandaVision towards the end of this year, then Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki, supposedly, and then a movie, and I can't remember which one it is, but...
Black Widow or Eternals?
No, Black Widow's in May, and Eternals is in November now. So you're not going to get that.
We're going to get a lot of Marvel next year, basically.
Well, yeah, and then Doctor Strange got pushed to 2022. Yeah. Oh, we're going to get Thor: Love and Thunder between Eternals and Black Widow, which I'm so looking forward to.
Yeah, that's going to be
anything Taika Waititi does, man. That guy's awesome.
And
I love the fact
awesome.
that Chris Hemsworth is like, I'll just keep playing Thor. I'm cool.
He's like, I'm not ready to go yet.
I like Thor. I'll play him some more. That's a terrible accent. I apologize.
Wow, that was what was that?
That was like, I don't know what the hell that was. So
okay,
I can't do an Australian accent. Thor, he's the god of thunder. Yeah. I'm like
I like the little rar there.
I'm like Chris Pratt pretending to be Thor in.
Yes, when he had his Thor voice.
Are you imitating me? I'm not imitating you.
That's right.
That's why he's on a big movie, and I'm sitting here doing this show.
Sure, of course.
Because I'm terrible, I'm looking forward to it, as we always are. We're trying to be here. Here's the thing, people. We're trying to be more optimistic about stuff. I know in the past sometimes we've talked about things that we don't like, and we've talked shit about stuff, and that might happen occasionally. But
but
I would like to be, at least, in this space of this show, or when we do the podcast, to be more optimistic about things, because it's good to have stuff to look forward to. In fact, we did a whole episode about stuff to look forward to, which will come out at some point. You can look forward to that. So
look forward to our forward-thinking show.
Look forward to our forward-thinking show. Yes.
Yes.
So Marvel, yes, they had to move everything around because, you can't have people go to the theater, obviously. And so,
well, yeah.
I mean, you can eventually, unless you're Christopher
Hopefully.
Nolan. Yeah, I'd like to go back to the theater. I hopefully we'll get to do it. But I'm content to watch things at home too.
Yes.
So. Nick Fury's series, also a good thing. Speaking of Netflix, and this was, if we were going to do picks again, which we don't really do as much as we used to, my pick today would have been this new movie that just came out on Netflix called Enola Holmes.
I have not watched that yet, and
I recommend.
I don't know why. And
well, it's got Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. She plays Enola Holmes, which is the younger sister of Sherlock Holmes and his brother, whose name escapes me. Mycroft. That's it.
Mycroft. Yeah.
Mycroft. And Henry Cavill plays Sherlock Holmes. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Henry Cavill, because his hair is amazing." And, he's Henry Cavill. It's so funny. Watching the show, though, with him and everyone else in the movie, everyone looks tiny and, weak compared to him. He's so buff. My God.
He's a giant of a man. I mean,
he's just an amazing dude, and he's just still got his Superman physique, so he's, dwarfing everybody else. I feel sort of bad for him because he looks so much better than everybody else.
I'm certain that's why in the last Mission Impossible that they limited the number of scenes that he had where he was in the same scene with Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise is not a giant of a man, and Henry Cavill is. So I was like, well,
are we talking about the mustache too?
Well, sure, but I don't think Tom Cruise could grow that kind of. The only person that could grow a mustache like that is Tom Selleck. So let's be honest.
Well, that's true. It was a great stash. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure both Henry Cavill and Tom Selleck's mustaches have their own agent. But
you're right, though. I agree with you about Mission Impossible because they don't have that many scenes together, or if they do, they're in different helicopters or something.
And they do different angles and stuff like that, because they do have that pretty big fight in the bathroom.
But it's a great sequence, man. That is a really great sequence.
It is really cool, but it's done, different angles and stuff like that because, there's a disparity there.
He was even more pumped up from doing Superman. He was doing it at the same time. So it's hello, Tom Cruise. I mean, Tom Cruise is not a large man, but you know what? He still manages to bring the fun, and he does.
But he's large on talent. But
he's larger than life. Do you think he tries to? I don't know. Let's not psychoanalyze Tom Cruise.
No.
I often wonder, though, if the reason he does all of his own stunts and everything is because he feels inadequate size-wise.
No,
I'm not talking about his junk. That's not the question. I'm talking about just
because we don't know.
Who does? I'm just saying. I'm talking about his stature, if you want to call it that.
Maybe I just think he's. I don't know. I think he's dedicated to his craft. I don't know.
Well, we've talked about Tom Cruise frequently on the show and how much we both enjoy his movies. So
yeah,
I'm excited that he's going to space to make another Mission Impossible movie.
I think. Well, it's not a Mission Impossible movie, but
it's not.
No, it's some other. In fact, I don't think they've written the script for it yet. But no,
he just wants to go to space. He doesn't care.
Yeah, and
well, the question is I also heard that they're going to go to space for the next Fast and the Furious movie. So you think they're going to have some sort of competition in space between Vin Diesel and Tom Cruise?
So you can launch to the ISS quicker?
Who would win in a fight between Tom Cruise and Vin Diesel, I wonder?
They'll both be hanging outside the rockets and having a fist fight at the same time and telling the pilot, "Get it closer. I can't. We'll crash. I don't care." I don't know. See, it just writes itself.
It writes itself. It's
it does.
Exactly. It's amazing. So yeah, I wonder who's going to get to space first, because that's really the only place they haven't gone with Fast and the Furious or with Mission Impossible. Are you sure it's not a Mission Impossible? Because I think it is.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Fine, just ruin it for me. I don't care. Is it a sequel? Is it a sequel to Live, Die, Repeat?
See, that would be cool.
Or All You Would Need Is Kill, or whatever we're calling it.
Maybe, because I think it is. Isn't it Doug Liman that he's going to space with?
I think it is Doug Liman. I would totally watch that. A sequel to that, man. That was a kick-ass movie.
I love that movie a lot.
I want to say it's one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies, but I also want to say it's one of my favorite movies in general. It's such good hard sci-fi you don't get that often.
Well, they're still working on a sequel to it. They do want to do a sequel. It's just I don't know. Maybe they haven't nailed the story yet, but I would watch more in that universe because that was so good.
Yeah, I would too. And Emily Blunt, do I bring her back? Of course. In fact, you could just bring her back without Tom Cruise. I would watch that too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as fun. I don't know. Maybe it would.
Well, they had. You know what? He has good repartee, if you will, with people in the movie.
Or is it patter?
It's patter, or what was the other one? I can't remember.
Banter.
Thank you.
Yes.
I can't remember because we don't have good banter here, obviously.
No.
There was a whole discussion before the show and the pre-show. Sorry, I keep referring to the pre-show, which no one can hear unless they are a patron. So sorry, people.
No, it is. It is Doug Liman and him that are going up next year. So it's not. It's not a Mission Impossible.
Did you go to the internets?
I did. Well, we're
why can't Doug Liman direct a Mission Impossible movie? It's not just Christopher.
He could, but they've said it's not a mission. Okay.
All right.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong.
It's another sci-fi movie, which is fine.
So no, it's a Victorian, Edwardian era period movie, but
it all takes place on a space station, and no one knows that they're in a space station. They think they're back in Edwardian England.
It's not being made by M. Night Shyamalan.
It's a generation ship, right?
It's done. Yeah, sure. That's still on Earth. No, I don't know. But
no, they've been launched in space 1,000 years. They're going to a different galaxy, so they've been in space for thousands of years, and there's generations of people who've lived there, and they still think they're in Edwardian England.
I just think if they go up, it would be funny if they went up there and they did like an office scene and then came back, and it's like not even in a sci-fi movie. It's just like
we just built some sets in space because we could do it.
Yeah, it's like a job comedy type of movie that takes place in in an office building where they just
is it office space in space?
Yeah, but no. The funny part is the movie's not even science fiction at all. But they went up to the space. Never mind.
Well, no, I get it. Well, it's the same with Fast and the Furious. Why the fuck are they going to space?
I think that's a joke. I think somebody was like, well, the only place they have to go is outer space, and was it Tyrese Gibson was like, well, yeah, how'd you know that's where it takes place? And then Michelle Rodriguez kind of furthered that in her latest interview. So I think it's all a joke. I don't think they're going to space.
Those movies make so much money, they could totally go to space.
They could, but I don't think they're going to. And maybe I'm wrong. But
well, it's all based on that joke, Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard here, Die Hard in space, right? So it's all because of that.
That's where the next Die Hard movie has to go, obviously. But
well, it's Die Hard in a building if they're going to do it right.
Friday the 13th went to space, so why can't Die Hard?
Was it Friday the 13th? Or I thought it was Jason who went to space.
That's Friday the 13th.
Oh, you're right. What am I thinking of? I was thinking of Halloween for some reason, but that's not Jason. That's Mrs. Voorhees. It's what's his face's mom, right? Oh, did I spoil it? Sorry, everybody.
What? It was the mom the whole time.
Well, in the first movie, it's the mom, right?
Yeah.
So is that a spoiler? Because no one's seen Halloween from or not Halloween, but from
that's 45 years ago or whatever.
What the fuck movie am I talking about?
Friday the 13th.
Is that the one on the lake? Which is the one on the lake?
Yes. Camp Crystal Lake, Friday the 13th with Jason and Jason's mom, whatever her name was.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees. We call her Mrs. Voorhees.
She seems so nice.
She seems so nice, yeah. No, I know. I'm just playing around. Halloween is the one with what's her face? This is not a horror podcast. Leave me alone.
Halloween is the one with the actor from the Austin Powers movies. Come on.
Right. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes. Michael Myers.
She was Austin Powers.
Yes.
That's so weird. I don't remember her.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis as Austin Powers.
I thought that was Michael Myers.
Sure. No, he was in Halloween.
I'm confused about what movie we're talking about now. Well, we're gonna have a guest on the show pretty soon who's a horror expert, so we better know our shit by the time he gets here.
I better do some research between now and then.
I'll
have Wikipedia up for that.
Between Halloween and Friday the 13th, I should know the difference between that because he knows way more about horror movies than I do.
Have Wikipedia up on your phone; it'll be fine.
I gotta be honest though, horror movies were never my jam. So
no, I'm not really a big fan. But
I mean, I like them, but it's not something. If I look at my list of things, I'm like, oh, I can watch this, or I can watch this, or I can watch this. The second or third pick will be a horror film. Although there's been some really good.
No, I never get to far enough down the list that I get to a horror movie. But
really?
No, there are some good. I guess I like ones that do stuff differently. Like the Scream movies, I kind of like the fact that they were making
you're in
fun
luck.
of
They were
the
making that
genre,
too.
but yeah, they were making fun of the genre, but yet still, I don't know, it was clever. I don't like if it's just somebody going, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies never did anything for me or interested in me, because it's like, so it's just a bunch of people one by one getting killed. I mean,
Yes.
which is obviously what a horror movie is. Same thing with the Saw movies. I'm like, oh, let's just come up with sadistic ways to kill people, and it's like, oh, that's
The
boring.
Saw movies had some cleverness to them, though. There was like puzzles and things you had to solve and whatever. But yeah, they were basically gratuitous.
But it's still the
about it.
same thing each movie. It's like,
Right.
you know.
Some people like that kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can like whatever you want. That's great.
Sure, yeah, no.
But I like things that are clever. Like I really like Cabin in the Woods, for example. I thought that was really clever.
Right. That was well done.
And it was
the
a send up
Scream
before
movies and stuff like
well,
that.
the great thing
yeah.
about the Scream movies, like I was saying, is that they're remaking them and they're bringing Nev Campbell back.
Yes, and Courtney Cox and what's his face?
Well, here's
used
the
to be
thing
married
with
to her.
David Arquette.
Yeah.
You can't kill David Arquette, by the way. It's impossible.
Apparently you can't, and not even in the Scream movies either, because he keeps getting.
No, there's
like,
a whole movie
almost
about
dead.
it. He did a
I know.
movie called "You Can't Kill David Arquette." Anyway,
Yeah.
the opening of the Scream movie should be Nev Campbell being killed.
Yeah,
her
absolutely.
character. Sydney should die in the first 15 minutes. Just like one of the greatest openings of a horror film, or any film really, was the whole thing with Drew Barrymore in the first
Right.
Scream. It's like, Drew Barrymore's in this movie. It's going to be, obviously she's the star of the movie, and she gets killed.
And it was great because they promoted her with it, and the posters had her on it and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like, wait, we're 3 minutes in, and wait, what just happened?
That's
That
one
was
thing
cool.
that I thought was great about it, is they totally flip the
That's
script. Or
that's
whatever.
what I'm saying. I like the ones that are clever. And if they're just like, let's see how gory we can be and how realistic we can be with our gore, and that's like the point of the movie, I'm like, I'm not interested. That's like,
Although I will tell you this, there's been a few times, like I used to go to Fantastic Fest here in Austin, and some nights they would have like the 100 best kills video, or the thing where
Right.
that you'd watch like people getting killed in senseless, crazy ways. And at midnight, with a few drinks, that's super fun because you're with a whole room full of people. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go seek out those movies. It depends on who you're seeing it with and everything.
Sure.
But I'd much rather watch sci-fi. Although Alien, is a great movie, and that has like a horror.
It's kind of horror sci-fi. See, though, again, though, it's something different. It's not.
It is. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the new Scream. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that like Eli Roth, for example, his movies don't do anything for me. But
No, and they're just like, everyone's like, you won't believe what he gets. I'm like, I don't care, because it's like that. I guess maybe seeing that even fictionally is just not at all.
how the hell did we get from
interesting.
Enola Holmes, a wholesome adventure story, to dismembering people in a hostel?
I think we're making a point that
because that's a weird.
you should
it's a
watch
weird
Enola
transition.
Holmes. Yeah,
You should watch it. It has no like people getting killed, really. I don't think.
no eviscerations or
No
disembowelments.
eviscerations or exsanguinations or anything like that. It's very clever. Millie Bobby Brown is great. She'd be a huge star, I think.
She's a fantastic actor. I mean,
she's a fantastic actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody in it's good. And it's really well done. I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, so I like the idea of mysteries like that and things to solve. And Helena Bonham Carter plays her mom in the movie. She's great. It's definitely worth watching. And it's, I would say it's mostly probably okay for the kids. Not too young, but it's good. I recommend it. And it's getting good reviews. And
I do want to watch it.
Tomatoes, it's got a good Rotten Tomatoes score, if that matters to it. But
I love Sherlock Holmes movies and TV. I mean, the fact that we had, 2 TV series kind of going on at the same time, plus a movie series with Robert Downey Jr. again, just was like, that was awesome. So, maybe it's one of those things that's like, I just don't have a lot of time, and it's like, I do want to watch it, and it's there forever on Netflix, but there doesn't. There's not so much, I guess, because of the way things have been spread out and delayed and stuff. To me, there's no sense of urgency anymore to see anything. I mean, it's like you're not really going to get spoiled on anything, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it'd be hard to get spoiled on this thing. It's
Yeah. I mean,
it's a Holmesian mystery,
right?
And you're like you said, it's going to be there on Netflix probably a long time. But I've heard some people comment that, like everything on Netflix, it's like 45 minutes too long. But I didn't find that at all. I was entranced.
Okay.
Not
Good.
entranced. That's not really the word. I was totally into it the whole way. And I think the one thing that people don't like is any kind of character development. They want stuff to move quickly. So they did take
Right.
time to develop the characters, which I thought was a really good idea because it's about the people.
Well,
It's
see,
not
I'm a
just
fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's why I liked it, I think.
All right.
So.
Cool.
But anyway,
right,
yeah,
I'll
like
check it
you're right, though. There's no urgency for anything because we're not really going anywhere probably. And it will be there for a long time. But, you should see it. I kind of was looking for something that was more, I don't know, not uplifting, but just more positive. And so I use that word again, positive. But it was. It was fun. There was some romance. There was some, you had to think, and there was some action. Oh, Bern Gorman is in it. He's awesome.
Oh,
he plays like the assassin guy. He's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's a nice, wholesome, fun movie. Good.
Exactly. Right. Well, wholesome. Yeah.
I don't know about wholesome, but yeah.
There's definitely some fights though. She gets into some scraps with some people. She knows how to fight like the Holmes always do. Yeah. So anyway, I could go on, but I won't. It's definitely worth watching. The other thing I was going to mention that I watched the other day was Blade Runner 2049, and so that leads me to a teaser for another deep dive that we're going to do. Maybe by the time this episode has come out, you've already gotten to hear our deep dive on David Lynch, which I thought was really good, and you will probably enjoy it if you listen to it, people. We're going to do a deep dive on Ridley Scott next, and so I'm boning up with my Blade Runner 2049. But the reason I brought it up is twofold. One, to sort of say, hey, we're going to do this deep dive on Ridley Scott.
Sure.
But two, I was not as much in love with Blade Runner 2049 as a lot of other people. But upon watching it, a few more times, it's grown on me. So
there's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah, there is.
And I don't think it's definitely not possible to catch it all the first time. And I wish it had done better because I would like to see more movies in that universe because I just thought, I don't know, I thought it was pretty fantastic and kind of a shining example of how to do a sequel, much like Bill and Ted Face the Music, but do a sequel, many, many, many years or decades later from the original or from the last sequel. So it was pretty fantastic. And I can't wait to talk about talk about Ridley Scott and that. I mean, he didn't direct that movie, but he was sort of involved. So I'm sure Blade Runner will come up in our deep dive of Ridley Scott.
Yeah, I mean, the reason obviously he didn't direct it, but the director, Denis Villeneuve. I never will get that right. I'm so sorry that I will never get that right because I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
I mean, partially it was like, I like this guy's films, and obviously because Dune is coming out eventually. Yep. But yes, you're right. I was skeptical about a sequel to Blade Runner at all because it's been so long. And it is a good example of how to do a sequel to a movie that, obviously Harrison Ford must have liked the idea because he went back for it. He said he'd be willing to do more, and sadly I don't think there'll be any more. But Ridley Scott, of course, has said, I'd like to make another Blade Runner film and many more Alien films, as many films as I can.
Exactly.
Because, why not?
Sure. Well, and we can discuss more of that in the deep dive. And of course, if you want to hear the deep dives that we're doing on directors, you got to go and subscribe to our Patreon so you can hear it. There you go. That's all I'll say about that.
We might release that stuff later for the general public. I'm sure we will probably, but for Patreons only right now. Patreons?
Absolutely.
I did that.
Patrons.
The Patreon. Patron.
Jeez, Chris, come on.
The Patron robot. Patron 2000.
Patron 3000.
The other thing we wanted to mention. Okay. You can
sorry.
Please,
sorry.
for the love of God. Stop. No.
Okay, sorry.
The other thing we wanted to mention is Bethesda.
Bethesda Games, yes. Microsoft.
Games, yes.
Microsoft bought the parent company that owns Bethesda, but they essentially bought Bethesda Games.
Right.
And Bethesda has some pretty big franchises. I mean, they own Doom, they own Fallout, they own Elder Scrolls. I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting, but those are probably the big three that most people know. And for the most part, I mean, I like Doom back in the day, but the Elder Scrolls games are extremely fun and, in-depth and well thought out and excellent at world building. Fallout, other than Fallout 76, which no one should ever talk about ever again. That's been a great game series. I mean, Fallout Las Vegas, I still play quite a lot because that was fun. So yeah, that's a big purchase. I mean, it's like $7 billion. I don't know if it was all in cash or what
Yeah, it
kind
was
of
all
deal they
cash.
worked
Someone
out.
drove up with a truck full of cash.
Here you go, all in
Here,
ones.
we will
All
take
at once.
Yeah.
Yes.
All singles from the strip club. It's all
Yes,
good.
exactly. But I mean, that's a huge purchase. I mean, Microsoft has said right now with PlayStation also coming out that whatever current systems the games are on will be honored, but all bets are probably off for the future. So I would expect Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and any Doom games that come down the pike are going to be Xbox or Microsoft exclusive going forward. So that's pretty huge. And
It is a big deal, yeah.
kind of a smart thing with Microsoft. I mean, I don't know, the eternal battle between Xbox and PlayStation, with Nintendo laughing at both of them in the background. It's kind of like which games do you like to play or which games do you want to play, and that kind of determines what system you're going to buy. And now Microsoft has heavily tilted that in their favor. So,
well, I think they wanted to also make sure they had content. It's like we need
yeah,
to
that's probably
buy
true.
a really popular game company because that way we will always have games for our console.
Right.
Because, I feel like a lot of people think the PS5 is going to be better and the Xbox One X, whatever the hell, is not going to be as good. Because I know there are a few games for PlayStation that are really nice. And I think that
absolutely.
Microsoft wants to make sure they have really good content. Yeah, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim in particular is their big one too.
Yep.
Which is an
Oh,
Elder
yeah,
Scrolls
that's right.
sort of advancement. I didn't really play Skyrim very much, but I still play Elder Scrolls years later, and I still
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
it.
Yep.
And I still play Doom.
Right. So
sometimes,
yeah.
but I never got into Fallout really. I don't know why, but
I didn't until Fallout Las Vegas, and I was like, or New Vegas, whatever it's called. Maybe it's New Vegas. But yeah,
I don't like
that's
Vegas. That's what it is.
No, maybe, yeah. I don't want to go to Vegas, even virtually. Jesus.
Even in a post-apocalyptic setting. If it gets destroyed, I'd be okay with that.
Well, it does. So there you go.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe it is good. Maybe it's positive.
See?
No.
But, so yay for Microsoft. They're definitely making a statement. And like you said, I'm pretty sure it's all to secure their gaming future. Now, if they would just make their games platform agnostic so you can play it on the Xbox as well as the PC and not have to spend $70 now that games are becoming that much. Each time you want to play it on a system, that would be great. But
I think that I made the switch just a straight console a while ago. I'm not a big gamer, but I don't really play games on the computer anymore. So I just play on the console. I mean, we have Xbox here, and I had a PlayStation. I have a PS3 somewhere, which I don't really use very much. I think I bought it just for one game in particular, but I can't remember what game it was. Back when I had disposable income before, having kids.
Yeah.
So now I'll probably just stick with Xbox because it's also got Minecraft, and that's a big game around here for us. So
the secret, Chris, is to steer your kid towards the game console that you want. That's
I pretty much always had Xbox, and
right.
and a PS3 just to for a couple of games, but I never really played it very much, and I pretty much stuck with Xbox.
I bought a couple PlayStation consoles in addition, only because I liked the Final Fantasy series, but
Yeah, I can't remember why I bought a PlayStation. It was one particular game. Oh, and also because it was a Blu-ray player back in the day too.
Oh, right, yeah, there you go. So
because Xbox was not Blu-ray compatible, you could buy a separate what was the other DVD standard, the high HD DVD or whatever? You could buy one of those to plug into your Xbox. I remember that.
Well, that'd be a bad investment, but who knew at the time, right?
Well, yeah, there was the competing things, and I was sure that they were going to stick with HD DVD because that's what porn was doing mostly of.
Sure, yeah, I figured that gave them a guaranteed success, but apparently not.
From what I heard, I don't really know anything about porn.
Yes, so I've been told.
So I've been informed. But this isn't a gaming podcast, obviously, but it's also pop culture, which is mostly what we talk about now. So I would say that a lot of effort and money and time and sweat and tears go into making video games. They're a huge business. In fact, they're a bigger business, I think, than Hollywood in making movies. So
sure,
it makes sense to think about that. And I will get another Xbox probably. I won't try to pre-order it because it's not going to be possible. But I will.
Well, they're sold out now already. So
yeah. So yeah. That, right?
And I mean,
I can say fuck now. I forgot. Fuck that.
Fuck that. But Bethesda was no slouch in their quality content previously. But now that they have Microsoft money to throw around, that's I can only imagine the quality of the content, but also what kind of games they're going to come up with. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, you make a good point though. I really enjoyed the world building in Elder Scrolls and then in Skyrim, and
Yeah.
it was just so detailed, and there was so many options. I think that's one thing that keeps me coming back to it, is that it's just almost infinite.
Yep.
I mean, eventually you push up against the wall, I suppose, but then they keep releasing new. Like they just came out with Greymore for Elder Scrolls. Well, actually, they didn't just come
Exactly.
out with it, but it came out
Yeah.
a while ago. But so they can keep upgrading it and stuff like that. But Skyrim is fun. It was really fun, and it's really well done, and the story is interesting. And there's dragons, which I like, and I do
Sure.
like fantasy stuff more than I like, Although Doom was interesting, like I said, but I don't know. I think the fantasy elements are the most appealing to me. So, good
My
job,
movies,
Microsoft.
my movies, I like more sci-fi. My games, I like more fantasy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what they need though? They need a decent Dungeons and Dragons movie, which they haven't had. They had one.
No.
It was shit.
Yeah, it was it was terrible. So
It's one of those things that I don't understand about Hollywood. And even though I worked in the film and television business for a long time, I still don't understand. I know everybody's a first timer the first time, but this guy had done nothing. And they're like, oh, here's a movie. Here's, whatever amount of money to make this movie. How could it ever possibly have been good? It just wasn't going to work. But why didn't anybody know that? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
the weirdest thing. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again about how no one sets out to make a bad movie.
True.
And honestly, it's just, I don't know though. There are some movies like that one. It's like, couldn't you tell along the way that this is just not going well? I mean, most of the time you don't find out that you've got bad stuff until you get to the editing phase and it's kind of too late to fix anything. But that thing is just kind of like, who kept saying, this is great stuff, we're loving what we're seeing? I just don't know.
Didn't they watch the dailies?
Apparently not, but
I don't understand this footage. It's not, well, let me say this. The movie doesn't look bad. It's well photographed. It's just,
maybe they just thought that the visual representation was going to be enough to carry it. I don't know. Maybe they were like, we don't care about the story. Just shoot whatever and make it look good.
I think they thought the name would sell it. Oh, it's a
Probably,
Dungeons and Dragons
probably.
movie. All the nerds will come and see it. We don't have to have a story or whatever, and no one will care. And
Yeah,
that's not
maybe
the
so.
case.
I don't know. But
I wonder if it would be different.
But D&D has such great modules. I mean, some that people even play to this day that they could pick and choose from some of those, or just base a movie on one of the modules. I mean, come on.
It's true.
I don't know.
They really do. You call them modules, which I appreciate, because I call them modules too, even though they don't call them that anymore.
That's what they are, right? Are they something different now? They're modules.
No, they call them something different now. But
jeez.
Adventures or whatever. But yeah, they were modules when I played when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess there's some kind of poetic justice in a way. Not that I wish anybody a bad career, but the guy who directed the D&D movie, Courtney Solomon, only made like one other movie. I mean, he produced a bunch of stuff, but he never directed anything really again, except I think one other movie. So
maybe he realized where his talents lie.
he's like,
and
yeah,
it wasn't in directing.
I can't do this. And maybe he thought that he had to become the director to achieve the. I don't know. It was his first movie. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I wish
It
I had
just
a
seems
chance
like a
to-
wrong first movie to do. I mean, I wouldn't want to take on something like that for a first movie, but that's just me.
Well, I would totally do it now.
Well, maybe now. Yeah.
I'd have no qualms, I guess is the word, to trying it.
Because see, I would say, great. I want to get a bunch of D&D modules. I want to get a group of writers together, and let's come up with a script that takes some of the best elements from them. Or if we find one that's strong enough, let's do it on that. See, I would. It could be my first movie, and I would do well.
It could be. Maybe it should be.
Should be. Yes, there we go. Attention studio, whoever owns the rights. I'll
Do
make
it.
your D&D movie, and I'll make it a mint. A mint, I'm telling you. So.
I wonder who does own the rights now. I guess it's Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, that's
They own-
true. Yeah.
They own the rights to.
All right, Wizards of the Coast, get in touch.
I think that Wizards got bought though recently by somebody else, by Fandom or somebody. Oh no, that's something else. Never mind. So I think it is Wizards of the Coast. They own D&D now. So if anybody from Wizards is listening, we have a pitch for you.
That's right. Get in touch with us. We'll make you an awesome D&D movie. Promise.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure they'll make another one.
Yeah.
It seems like because the popularity of the game is so big now that
Right.
It seems like they should do another one. And I mean, Game of Thrones did really well, and that was kind of like D&D, and so they could do although movies are expensive, maybe they would do a series instead.
Lord of the Rings series is coming out, and like you said, Game of Thrones did well, so why not? Maybe Stars should pick up a D&D movie or something.
They are doing a
Or
Lord of the Rings
show.
series, aren't they?
Yeah, on Amazon. Yeah.
Well,
Amazon Prime. Yes.
HBO Max could do a D&D show
or Peacock.
Peacock, sure. They seem to have money to burn.
Yeah, why not?
Or Netflix, why not?
See, why not?
Why not?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's America. Anything can happen.
Okay, so maybe
do you have anything you want to tell people to watch, or anything you want to pick, or are we just done?
I think we're done.
You're finished. That's it.
Yeah, I do have a pick if we want to do picks.
Well, I already picked mine. I already picked Enola Hughes. I said Hughes. Holmes is what I mean.
Enola Hughes.
Who the hell is Enola Hughes?
You got the whole Enola Gay and or Howard Hughes thing conflated there.
That's what it is. You're right.
Yeah.
That's not it at all.
No, it's not any of that, but that's okay.
Holmes.
Yes, Enola Holmes.
Holmes, I presume. Holmes, yes. Do you want to pick something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll pick something really quick. Maybe this is something I'll go into in more depth later. So I recently got a 3D printer. I got it from a company called Creality. It's their Ender 3 Pro. And here's the fun thing. I'm picking this even though I have yet to print anything on it, because when I was... there is much assembly required when you get it. And during the assembly process, I actually broke a part. And that part ended up being a crucial system in order to be able to print. Luckily, though, it's a very inexpensive part, and I have one on the way, and I'm going to fix it myself. But I have to say this is a new hobby that I'm getting into, and I think it's going to wind up being an expensive one because you can heavily modify and customize and update your 3D printer as you go. But it just seems really cool, and it's like something I've always wanted to do. And it always seemed like something that would never be possible, but now they're so inexpensive to get for the home. They're great. And like I said, the cool thing about it is I learned a lot putting it together, most especially one thing not to do. But just knowing how it all goes together and how all the parts work, it kind of reminded me back in the day when I used to build, a desktop computer for myself. It was something that once you build one, you can upgrade as you go. And this is kind of the same thing. So 3D printers, there's a huge community for it. They're very helpful and very nice, and there's all kinds of really cool things, patterns and stuff you can print out. So I'm excited to get started on it and actually get to print something, but I just having it is really awesome, and it's something too my kids are interested in as well. So yeah, there we go.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you a file because I get my D&D figures printed at HeroForge.com.
Ah, yes,
which is awesome. If you've ever been there, it's great. You go and you design your character, and they send you the miniature. They print it.
Nice.
I'm sure they have like amazing 3D printers there.
Oh,
because
sure.
The figure turned out great, but I also bought the file, so I could send you the file and you can try to print it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure the plastic or whatever costs money, so you just tell me how much it is, and I'll Venmo it to you.
Oh, well, it's not. Apparently, you can do a lot with a spool of filament, as they call it. So
the filaments, yes. Do you want to say how much your 3D printer costs? Because I'm curious about that too.
It is under $300 actually.
Under $299.99.
No, it was like it was like $289 or something like that. But
so it's affordable for some people.
Yeah, no, it's really affordable. I mean, there are even some more basic models that are around the $200 range, so it's not astronomical anymore. So
there's two different kinds, right, for that price point.
Yes,
I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube about miniatures and stuff, and the guy was saying one version of the 3D printer was better than the other one. And I can't remember which one was better, but hopefully
that may be. But like I know, like for mine, I can upgrade the. It sounds naughty, but they call it the extruder that actually prints the material onto the print bed. But I can get one that is like higher end than what I have that will also print using wood and metal and stuff like that. So, and carbon fiber.
You can extrude your wood? I'm sorry. What was that?
Wow.
That got weird. That got awkward quickly. Sorry.
Where's the sad trombone for that? Wah, wah, wah.
I try really hard.
Anyway, I'm
not a professional, so.
it's already a hobby I'm excited about, and I will report back, I'm sure, quite often when I print something cool. Or it will go disastrously wrong the first time I try to print something, and I'll just get fed up and move on. I thought you
were going to say one thing I learned when I was building this thing is I have no affinity for building things.
Well, I'm not very
I'm not great at following
inclined.
directions, as it turns out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a fuck ton of tools or an Allen wrench, like for every IKEA thing, right?
Of course, yes. No, they give you all the tools and everything you need to build it, but yeah.
That sounds great.
Well, I have a coworker too that's very much into 3D printing and has been for a number of years, and hearing him talk and what he can print out, I was like, okay, I want to get into this.
Just out of curiosity, just tell me, enlighten me, if you would.
Sure.
What are you going to print? Why do you need a 3D printer? That's what I wanted to know.
Well, I don't need one, but I'm going to do miniatures. I'm going to do spaceships. There's like there's very detailed, I don't even know what they're called, patterns or whatever, 3D models for like the Eagle from Space 1999 up to like 2 feet long. And the Battlestar Galactica and, all kinds of Star Wars and Star Trek ships. So I'm like, oh, I'll print that.
Well, no, but like,
so like my coworker, he printed, for his oldest kid, he printed, a warp core from the Enterprise from Next Generation. He printed out the warp core, and it lights up and makes the noise, but it mainly lights up, and his kid uses it as a nightlight. And he has it hooked up to Alexa, so he can say, Alexa, start up the warp core, and it starts up. And, Alexa, turn off the warp core and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And can you eject the warp core in the event of a warp core breach?
Yeah, sure. You probably can. But, I'll probably also do like other gadgets around the house. It's like, I wish I had a better, phone stand or something like that. Well, I can print it out. The other cool thing, too, is a lot of the parts on the 3D printer that aren't either electronic, even some of the ones that have electronics, you can 3D print your own upgrades. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
So you can print a 3D printer that will print another 3D printer, so eventually they'll just take over.
Yeah, so it'll be like nanobots, and it'll turn the world gray, and it'll blow up.
Interesting. I like that. So you're the problem. You're perpetuating the decline and the destruction of the Earth.
It's 3D printer inception. So,
ooh, I like that. That's good. Well, that sounds like fun. I definitely report back. I'm very curious about how it turns out. I've been looking to them. I just never pulled the trigger because I didn't realize the possibilities. But now I didn't know you could print Eagles from Space 1999.
Oh yes. So
one day we'll have to go back to our Space 1999 project too. By the way,
we will. Yes, one day we'll find someone that'll go, we'll pay you money for that.
Because anything's possible.
It is, right? You're never too old.
You're never too old. All right, so find the Flickcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and our website, TheFlickcast.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at The Flickcast and on Facebook. And we mentioned the Patreon. You know where that is. It's Flickcast, Patreon.com, whatever.
It's Patreon.com/TheFlickcast.
I know.
Come on.
I'm just joking.
I know.
All right, cool. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, so for Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everyone.